what is the impact of site architecture and URL structure on
Yeah.
SEO?
Yeah. So again, it does kind of go back to the one we talked about. What I'll add to that, right, is that URL structure is very helpful when planned out ahead of time, right? And you do want to plan this out because changing your URL structure can get hairy if you're not good with 301s and redirection. If you have a lot of existing links coming in to old pages, you can kind of lose a little bit of juice if you start messing URLs up. But if you use URLs properly, you put in, like we saw in some of the, like the legal one, Tampa, or like Florida / Tampa / car accident lawyer, Tampa / truck accident lawyer, Tampa / motorcycle accident lawyer. Consistency, keywords where it makes sense, locations where they make sense, and being consistent across the board. Don't use Tampa, for one thing, and then Tampa FL for something else. Be consistent. It's okay to have a structure where you've got multiple folder deep. That's okay. We used to, back in the day, people would say everything needs to be off the root, or because it's like having a drawer in a drawer in a drawer if you're 3 subdirectories down. That made sense back in the day when things were slower and indexing power wasn't the same. We didn't have the same kind of storage space. Google wasn't as good at what they now. It doesn't really matter. So set up your URL structure where it makes sense for you, where it makes it easy to understand where you're at. In fact, I know that we have information about this same thing, URL structure. I believe it's in, it might be in the things to focus on in 2024, URL structure. If not, I believe we have it in the 2023 one, where I do talk about URL structure and how to kind of focus in on that. Actually, we might be able to, let me see something here. Second, I'll share. Yeah, here we go. So the co-branded one, let me bring this up here. We probably need to revisit this one, URL site structure options. And this one is from subdirectories versus subdomain versus standalone sites. And this kind of gets into URL structure here, which one's right. Talks a bit about, like, keeping keywords in your subdirectories to help with your SEO efforts, some cons for doing it, what a primary domain looks like versus subdomains. You can see Disney does it, Google does it, Yahoo does it, kind of getting into the pros and cons of that. Some standalone sites, we talk a bit about that. So this might be something we could kind of revisit a little bit. Maybe update this and add it as a new webinar or something like that. So I don't think we have this in our system right now on our platform. So let's take a note on that one. Let's go ahead and make another, let's update this one, and we can make that coming up for one of our webinars in the near future. But there was another one. Sorry, I was trying to find something that might add some value to the conversation, but I don't think I can find it at the moment. Anyway, URL structure matters. It matters. Think about it, plan it out, consider what you're doing and why, and do it before you design or redesign the website. And when you are redesigning the website, make sure that you account for this change. We did this with a recent client who had, we were seeing, they've been around for a long time, had hundreds and hundreds of blog posts, and a lot of them got really well ranked and get found for stuff. But those blog posts don't really lead to transactions. They're informational, right? They don't really lead to somebody saying, I just got into a car accident, can you help me, right? They're looking for other information. And so when the site got redesigned recently, we had all the blog content moved into a place called a folder called legal blog, because they were all off the root. The problem with that was I couldn't separate all the blog content from the actual, web page content that makes up what the company does. And so by moving and shifting everything into a legal blog area, now I can basically, in analytics or search, I could say ignore, or I can spider the site and say ignore all the legal blog stuff. I don't care about this right now. Let me see how's the site doing on its own without the blog. And that can help make a difference as well. So anyway, I hope that answers the question as far as URL structure is concerned. Keywords are good, but be consistent, be thought out, look around, look at your competitors, see if they're okay with it as well. And, mimic what other people are doing, right? Mimic that. and you'll be good.
And stay tuned because it sounds like we're going to get into this some more soon.
Yeah, no doubt. I think it's definitely going to be a good one. URL structure. And I think we can tie that into, like I said, the subdirectory, subdomains, and standalone sites, which is also a good, how do you work subdirectories, pros and cons, subdirectories versus subdomains, and, standalone sites. Like, someone could have tampa.mysite.com, or they can have mysite.com/Tampa, or they can have www.mysitetampa.com, right? mysiteorlando.com. Have a separate domain altogether, a unique website for that location. And we can talk about pros and cons of that as well. So I think it's a good topic. I know we've been looking for new topics. I think that'd be a great way to take some of the old stuff and revisit it again.
Yeah, I've got got a note made, and I think that is time for today.
Awesome, awesome, awesome.
So everybody, welcome to Steve Scott's brain as he talks off the cuff for an hour straight.
Yeah, it's funny. It's not like I hear these questions from others all the time. I see them as I'm looking for stuff, as I'm doing my own legwork and research. They come up from others. It's like we said, 25 plus years of doing this. It does become kind of second nature. And then the other thing that's interesting too, and then like going back to the whole how do I get the blog thing, the new version. That's not a fix. That's just an idea. It's a creative way of thinking. And a lot of SEO has always been, if I do this, how will that impact Google, right? How will that impact my rankings? And a lot of times, some of those things worked splendidly, and Google will come back and go, like a few years after it worked splendidly, and they go, wait a minute here. That's not really the way we want this to work, and you might be doing things kind of on the edge, and we're not gonna allow that anymore. And that's happened over the years with their various updates like Penguin and Panda and Hummingbird, and all the other things where things that were kind of standard operating procedure became either against the rules or penalized you or just had no more value anymore. And we just stopped doing them, looking for the next thing. These days, it's user, 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 user. Anything that's going to make it better for the user, whether it's faster for the user, easier for the user, more impactful for the user, more informative for the user. Always think user and always think mobile devices. Always think to your mobile device. You have to, especially if you're in the design industry. I see this a lot. Designers, they are working on their desktops. They're designing on their desktops or on their laptops, but they're not looking at their mobile devices, and things when you go to the mobile, they change. You got to be aware of that, and you got to make sure that you're doing right by them for that situation.